Hello, boys and girls. Today, our mission adventure stories are going to take us all the way back to from where I was in Sri Lanka, where the last story ended. Remember when I talked about the risk of a rope yesterday? Well, today we're going to go from there all the way to the country of England. And we're going to tell you the story about a stranger on a London train. Well, let's get started. It all happened, and it started out when I lived in this house in a little town called Minuwangada. That's kind of a funny name, isn't it? Minuwangada is a little town not far from the capital city of Sri Lanka called Colombo. I went there a few years ago to see if that house was still there, and sure enough, that house is still there. And I remember those red steps sitting there as a little boy when my dad told me that one day we would be all going to America. And I was so excited, but what I didn't know was that my dad said, well, we can't all afford to go to America together because it costs a lot of money for our family to go there. So I'm going to go there ahead of time, and then I'm going to save up enough money, and then we'll bring our family there. Well, this was the last picture that was taken of our family together. I'm on the right-hand side there, and there's my mom holding my little baby brother, Lester, and then my dad right in the middle, and my sister. She's very sad because Daddy's leaving, and you know, I was thinking, well, we're excited. We're going to go to America. I had no idea how long it would be. Well, during all those times, you know, sometimes the days went to weeks, and the weeks went to months, and the months went to years. But my dad always kept in touch with us. He would always send us letters. Every single week I'd get a letter from my dad to let me know it was getting closer to that time when we would be making our trip to America. Well, while I was there, and you know, it was a long time. As a little boy, I liked to play with trucks, but they didn't have very good toys in India, and so. Even in Sri Lanka, the toys were not that good. And so my dad would send me some really good toys, like toy trucks, because I loved to play with trucks when I was a little boy. And so my dad would send me for birthdays special things like trucks or books. I loved to read books. And so Dad would send me lots of books that had lots of pictures in them. And I enjoyed that. So those were special packages that came on birthdays and at Christmas time. Well, the day came when we had to leave our island home. And we left our island home because it was time for us to make that big trip to America. And this was the ship that took us from our island. It was called the Fair Sky. It was a beautiful ship, and it sailed away from the island of Sri Lanka, from our home, making our trip all the way to America. Well, it was several weeks of traveling. We went all the way around Saudi Arabia, and then through the Red Sea, and then through the Mediterranean Sea and up to Italy, and then from Italy around the corner of Spain and Portugal, and then all the way up. You see that little red line making the final part of our trip. It was many days on that ship, finally taking us to the United Kingdom, where England is. England is one of the countries of the United Kingdom. There are actually 4 parts of the United Kingdom: England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. They make up the United Kingdom, just like we have 50 states in America that make up the United States of America. So there are 4 parts to the United Kingdom. Well, we arrived in a place called Southampton, in the southern part of England. And here is the Fair Sky, docked in there. It was very early morning when the ship came there. I was very excited. I had never been in a very big city like this, and so I was very excited. Finally, I had read books about England, and I thought, wow, we're actually in England. And in it was a Friday morning when we arrived there. And you know, when it's Friday morning, the Sabbath is coming pretty soon. And so we said, well, we're going to spend the Sabbath there. And my daddy had written a letter, and he said, you're going to spend the Sabbath there in England, and then on Sunday morning, you'll be flying to America, and I will meet you in America. And so I was excited. I thought, well, we're going to get to see some parts of England. There was a pastor that was going to meet us in London, England. But when we arrived at Southampton, England, there were guides that guided us from there to get on a train. And we were going to take a train that was going to take us from Southampton all the way into London. And so you see where Southampton is in this map. Here's the United Kingdom. Southampton is on the very, very lower part of England. And then we had to get on a train that would take us all the way to London. And so we got on this train that was taking us from Southampton all the way into the big city of London. Oh my, I was so excited because I had read stories about London. I had heard a lot about London. Oh my. I'd even sang songs like London Bridge is Falling Down. And so I was excited about finally seeing London. My mom and my brother and my sister, we were all traveling together on this train. And my mom, we finally arrived at the train station in London, and there was the pastor that met us there. And when he met us there at the train station in London, he took us in through the downtown part of London, and we saw those double-decker buses all around London. Then we even saw what we had only seen in pictures before. We saw Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament and the Thames River. And wow, I was so excited. I said, I had only heard about this and seen this only in drawings and pictures, but now I'm actually getting to see the city of London. I was really excited about it. But then the pastor said, you know, it's getting to be close to Sabbath, and I need to take you to your hotel and get you all settled in your hotel. And then what I'll do is you'll have to spend your Sabbath there because I have to preach in another church far away, and I will come and pick you up early on Sunday morning so that I can take you to the airport where you can get on your plane to go to America. Well, while we were there in a hotel, you know, it was a beautiful hotel, and we walked around some gardens that were nearby, and my mother purchased a few things at a store that we could have for Sabbath meal, something for lunch and something for breakfast. But then when we went in the hotel, they said, oh, no, ma'am, you know, we will provide you with a breakfast here. You will have to have something for lunch and supper, but we'll take care of your breakfast for you. And I said, oh, this is nice. The hotel is going to give us a breakfast here. Now, when we got back in that hotel, my mother told me something. She says, Leslie, tomorrow is the Sabbath day. And tonight, as we get ready for Sabbath, and my mom did the same thing that my dad did, we always had worship to begin the Sabbath on Friday night. And my mom told me, said, Leslie, you and your brother and sister, I want you to help me. We're going to lay out all of our Sabbath clothes so that tomorrow we can go to church. I said, Mom, but the pastor won't be here to take us to church, and we don't even know where a church is. Says, oh, there'll be somebody that'll know where the Seventh-day Adventist church is, and they will make sure that we get there. We'll find somebody to help us out. And I said, okay, I don't know. This is a very big city, and you know, I don't know. I don't want us to get lost, and then we'll miss our plane on Sunday, and then we won't get to see Dad. You know, sometimes I was a little bit very dramatic, you know, and so my mom said, calm down, Leslie, calm down. It's going to be all right. We'll find everything okay. Jesus will help us find a Seventh-day Adventist church where we can worship Him on the Sabbath day. Well, we stayed in that hotel, and that next morning we got up and we had breakfast in that hotel, and then she went to the reception desk and asked the man, says, sir, can you tell us, my mom asked the reception desk where there's a Seventh-day Adventist church nearby, and the man said, I've never heard of a Seventh-day Adventist church. And I said, see, Mom, we better stay in our room. We better not go out. Well, she said, I wonder if somebody else would know. Then another man walked up, and then the man at the reception desk said, you know, you might go down there. You have a card for the underground train. Maybe you can go down to the underground train station, and they'll tell you. And and so my mom said, well, where is the underground train station? Oh, he says, it's very close to this hotel. It's right next door. Just walk there and you'll see a big sign that says underground. And so my mom said, okay. And so she had to carry my little baby brother because he was just only a little boy. And so my sister, we were all dressed up in our Sabbath clothes, just like Mom had asked us to, and then walked up this man to the front desk. And he said, you know what? Did I hear you say that you're going to the Seventh-day Adventist Church? And my mom said, yes, but we don't know where it is. And the man at the desk said to go to the underground. He says, you know what? I'm going to the underground too. And I have to take a train to another town. But you know what? I think what I'll do is I'll show you what train to get on, and I'll travel with you and show you what station to get off. And so he was very, very kind. He was dressed up in a suit, and he was very, very, very kind to us. And he said, just come with us, and just follow me, and I'll take you on the right train. And he says, when we come to the right station, I'll tell you where to get off, and then you just walk up the steps and you'll be right in front of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I know where that church is. And that church was called the New Gallery Center. So we followed this man. He was dressed up in a suit. He was a very kind man. And then finally, as we got on the underground train, we got on there with him, and I said, Mom, I don't know, how are we going to find our way back? And this man was very helpful. He says, come back to this very same spot and catch this very same train and get off at this station. And he told us everything that we were supposed to do. When we got to the train station where we were supposed to get off, he said, you know what? I can get the next train. Let me come with you, because you have a family here, and I want to make sure that you find the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He says, I'll just catch the next train. There's trains coming every few minutes, so I'll just walk with you up the steps and help you cross the street over to the other side, because it's usually a busy street. But it shouldn't be too busy today, since it's Saturday and it's your Sabbath. So there are probably not a lot of people there. And so he came up. He got off the train with us. He was very, very nice. And then he took us up the steps, and then we came to the street, and it wasn't too busy. There were some buses out there, and so he helped us cross the street, and he said, there's where the Seventh-day Adventist Church is. It was right across the street. Well, as soon as we crossed over, my mother just turned around to say thank you to him. But he wasn't there. There was nobody in a suit there. There was nobody standing there. And he was just standing with us and talking to us and saying, have a nice Sabbath day. And all of a sudden, he wasn't there anymore. And my mom put her arms around me and around my sister and said, did you just realize that God helped us find this church? And I believe God sent an angel to help us find this church. He was standing right here. He's not even down the street. He was standing right next to us. And there was nobody else around. We had just been talking to him, and he was gone. He was no longer there. You know, the Bible tells us in Psalm 91, verses 11 and 12, for he shall give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. I love that promise because God sends his angels. You know, there's another passage in Scripture that tells us this in Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 2. Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it. Isn't that interesting? Sometimes when we are kind to strangers, when we are very kind and thoughtful of strangers, the Bible tells us sometimes we don't even know that we may be doing that for an angel. And angels are all around us, willing to help us. I am so thankful. You know, I'm looking forward to meeting my angel, and I wonder when I get to heaven if I will see that angel that was on a train that came in the form of a stranger to us, but heaven had sent an angel to guide us to church that Sabbath morning. I hope you'll always be thankful for God's angels that watch over us and keep us in all of our ways. Have a wonderful day.